So I just remember staying up all night and telling my husband, like, hey, look at what this guy just hit. I was so excited about it. I was getting so passionate about it that it was actually my husband's idea to be like, you know, you would probably be really good at that, he told me. And that's what sparked it in me immediately.
Nobody runs trade nights like we run trade nights. Mr. Trevor Lawrence.
What are we doing?
Let's go! Yes, sir! Amazing. Try to bring that to the next generation and to bring it to other people to hopefully inspire them. This is not possible without you. All right, what's going on YouTube? Card Collector 2 coming at you here with a brand new video. Today we are back with another episode of Collections, Card Shops, and Collectors, a series highlighting the best the hobby has to offer. And today, that definitely reigns true. I'm with one of my favorite people in the hobby, Stephanie, also known as Mama Breaks Online. Stephanie, thank you for being here.
Are you kidding? I'm so grateful and so honored to be here, Ryan. Thank you so much for having me on, and thank you so much for having me on the channel. Yeah,
this is going to be a lot of fun. It's funny, we were talking about this, we all went to dinner last night, we were talking about this, that we actually met, it's been right around 2 years, I think.
Yeah.
We met at Atlantic City I think it was a Card Talk, Trade Night, eBay Live type thing.
eBay event, correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we had met there, and I'll let you tell a little bit about it, but at the time, you hadn't quit your job? You hadn't started breaking? Like, where were you at in your point in the journey at that time?
So I definitely, that was the summer, so I had just decided to quit teaching to pursue breaking full time. So at that point, I was just breaking on the weekends. I think I was breaking on Instagram and Card Shop Live.
Okay.
When that was out, I was doing a lot of Star Wars breaks, football, basketball breaks, and I just decided, you know, between a conversation with my husband, it's just, I wanted to make sure that I gave it a fair shot, and I knew that the only way to really do that is pursue it full time. And I went into the National with that kind of mindset and wanting to meet people who inspired me like you. And I remember going to this eBay event and knowing that Ryan Card Collector 2 was going to be there, and you were so busy, swarmed as always. I made sure to ask Lou to make sure to give me some minutes with you. It was really like that. And in the meantime, I was very lucky to be able to meet your wife Regina there too, and had a conversation with her right before I was able to meet you. So yeah, it was a great experience. Like I said, I was really looking forward to meeting you that day because you're someone who inspired me to take that jump amongst others. And you know, you've really shown what's possible in this industry, what's possible when you do something that you love, and that's kind of the thing that's always driven me.
I love that. Yeah, I love that a lot. That's I appreciate the kind words. And I'm excited to get more into your journey because, you know, that was 2 years ago, and you've done some really big things and are doing some big things now. So I'm sure we'll get into that. But also going to rip some packs today. We are.
Yes.
You know, it's funny. We were talking about this last night, and you and Eddie talked about like coming to Ohio and went to the National and had some good food. And I always say, anytime everybody talks about Ohio, they just, it's Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Columbus is just all one place. Ohio is just a place. It's not, there's not separate cities, there's not separate, towns. Ohio is one place. So it's easy. I always say people get Columbus, Cincinnati, and Cleveland mixed into one, but we are not far from this guy, Elly Cruz. I know you break a lot of baseball as well as Star Wars and other things, but this guy's big here. Have you seen a lot of demand for him in your breaks?
Absolutely. He's always the biggest team. He's always the biggest chase. And when you hit one, the room goes crazy.
Yeah.
He's definitely electric. He's so exciting to watch. He does have some times where people doubt him, but he just continues to show us that he is a freak of nature.
Yeah.
This kid. 3 stolen bases. You just unbelievable what he continues to do. And my favorite thing about Elly de la Cruz is that he continues to be so humble about his abilities. If you see his interviews and you watch how he talks about other players, like he's continually just like to feel like that's the right idea. Look at people who are doing amazing things in the industry that you want to be successful in. He's always talking about Ohtani's accolades, and I just love that about him. So he's going to be a really successful kid.
Yeah, he's something I talk about it a lot here, but Joe Burrow's always been like the number one guy in our shop. Like since he was drafted, he's an Ohio kid, goes to the Bengals, takes the Bengals to the Super Bowl. Burrow's always been like the guy, but like lately, there's been somebody really, really close to that in terms of demand, and that's this guy. Like you said, he's electric, he's fun to watch, he seems like a really good guy, and he's really, really good. I mean, he steals a lot of bases, he's a lot of fun. So we'll rip this today, see if we can get anything good, and continue to talk more about your journey. So, you said when you said he's the main chase in a lot of your breaks. Who would you say is like, as someone that isn't super, super deep, like I love the Star Wars movies, I love watching it, but I wouldn't say I'm like an expert. Who's normally like the chase in some of the Star Wars products?
Definitely Padme Amidala and Darth Vader. So rest in peace, James Earl Jones, who made the voice for one of the most iconic characters in all of film, because you recognize that Darth Vader voice,
For sure.
So Darth Vader is definitely the Michael Jordan of Star Wars cards. And then you have like your very just women who were pioneers in the film industry throughout the saga, which is Carrie Fisher, Natalie Portman, and a lot of the women that are kind of spearheading this new wave of Star Wars too is Ahsoka Tano. Rosario Dawson is Ahsoka Tano, doing a really great job in that live action role. So yeah, it's just really exciting to see how it's growing. I think the women in Star Wars are always going to be big too. So I would say those two chases.
Very cool. Now, does Harrison Ford, is he in much these days?
As far as autographs go, it's very limited. But yeah, he typically has a base card and stuff. And you would be really surprised to know that his autos are huge because it's Harrison Ford. But when it comes to just like his regular base and parallel stuff, it's not as big as you would think.
Interesting.
Considering the, how big of a character he is. I think that has a lot to do with like, just like we see it a lot in football, right? Like the GOATs that you think would do better than some of the newer guys.
Yeah.
It's just, there's a lot of hype around these new characters right now.
Interesting.
So
the prospecting thing, I don't mean to interrupt you, the prospecting thing is in Star Wars just like it is in baseball.
100%. You have some really hot characters coming out in TV shows, and they definitely start rising a little bit. We saw it a lot in Grand Admiral Thrawn, the character that came out in the recent Ahsoka series. His autographs and his stuff just started going up, and obviously now came back down a little bit. You gotta watch with Star Wars, you gotta watch the newer TV shows, and I think Topps, most recently with the new Star Wars Chrome set that came out this year, they did a really great job of featuring some of those newer characters that are getting hyped from the new series.
Interesting.
So Chrome last year was the first quote unquote flagship product where that was the intention, to have all the newer Star Wars characters from all the new stuff, from all the new TV shows, from all the animated series, and make sure that they have cards.
Okay.
They took it an extra step this year and have those like rookie cards. They're calling them debut medallions.
Debut.
And those are huge because we have Shin Hati, which is a new character that we met in the Ahsoka series as well, and her stuff, that's her rookie card. Her stuff's doing really well.
Interesting. So we're gonna rip these and get into Elly. Now, who would you say is like the prospect you're keeping an eye on then in the Star Wars? Is that who you would say?
Shin Hati, most definitely. I think her character is going to continue to grow, but I really think Sabine Wren and Harrison Dula, the live action actresses for those characters, crushed it.
Really?
They absolutely crushed those characters. I think they're going to continue to be fan favorites as well, so I'm super excited about that.
Mike Trout, fellow card collector, Mike Trout.
Yes.
Have you, now you're out in California, he's out there in Philly as well. Have you had any interactions with Mike or any other athletes that are, in the space that collect?
Definitely not in person yet, I don't think, but I have had some interactions with like Josh Young.
Yeah.
Michael Phelps when we were ripping Olympics and
That's
stuff.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I do need to do a better job of reaching out to those guys, but yeah, most recently in this set actually, on release day, I pulled the Josh Young Superfractor.
Wow.
For a collector.
Holy cow.
For Chaz. Shout out to Chaz, he's also from Ohio.
There we go.
He'll be at trade night tomorrow. And I actually had someone who works with Josh Young reach out directly to me that day and say Josh Young's interested in that Superfractor.
Wow.
So I was able to facilitate a meet and greet on field at a Guardians game most recently for Chaz.
There we go.
So where they exchanged for signed memorabilia.
That's cool. It's funny. That's a couple big Rangers supers then come into Ohio, because if you hit the Josh Young for someone in Ohio, the Wyatt Langford super auto was hitting our store.
Oh wow!
So that's a couple big,
out of this,
out of a hobby box.
Crazy.
Yeah, customer came in.
Congratulations
Yeah,
on that.
Great customer came in, grabbed a hobby box, said the box was terrible up until like the last 2 packs, and hit the Langford super. I think he sent it to consignment. I know. I literally found out this morning. I don't know when this video will drop, but I found out this morning it got a PSA 10 as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's massive. And Wyatt Langford has a beautiful autograph.
Yeah, for sure. Really good. It's also been cool though, like again, I know this is a little bit of a different piece of the segment, but like it also has been really cool to see some of these guys, like there are definitely, that is probably one of the biggest things I noticed from when I was a kid versus now, is there are a lot of athletes collecting cards. Like we've had Blaze Jordan on the channel, Jake LaRavia's been on the channel, like we've had conversations with a lot of guys that collect, and like they're in it. Like Jake LaRavia is in cards. He's hustling like you and I are. Like he's buying cards, he's selling cards.
I love
like
that.
he's live on Whatnot flipping singles. I mean, like that guy plays for the Grizzlies next to John Morant, and he's live on Whatnot selling singles and buying Patrick Mahomes autos. I think it's been really cool to see, that interaction of the hobby. I think it brings a different element to the hobby that we haven't seen before.
100%. I think so. This is something, baseball cards and stuff. What I did growing up wasn't very involved with other people. Like I share this story a lot. Inner city Los Angeles, where I grew up, there are no card shops even today. Card shop and card collecting was very new to me.
Yep.
I started with Pokemon. As I grew
Same.
older and I fell in love with baseball and I played softball, I saw baseball packs at Target and I was like, okay, these are cool. But I had no idea that this whole world existed with card shows and card shops. I just did not know until I got a little older, started learning about it. I remember I actually worked like 5 minutes from the Burbank card store.
Did you know it at the
For a
time?
while. I was in my early 20s when this happened, when this was going on, so I was in college. And yeah, I was like, oh, that's a sports card store, and I would go in and kind of like, these Dodger cards are kind of cool and stuff.
Yeah.
But I never like completely immersed myself in sports cards until I found it during quarantine when I was teaching from home.
Gotcha.
So that's when I was like, okay, I have a little extra time on my hands. This is something that I've kind of done as a kid, kind of done as an adult, on and off. I collected comics and Funko Pops and everything. It's just a bug in me.
Yep.
And I was like, no, let me pursue this. Like, I'm an adult now. I need a hobby, and that's when I just started getting into it. And this was like, this was late 2020.
Okay. So what was your like first interaction then, like in the hobby? Was it like packs? Was it breaks? Was it like
eBay?
eBay
Was my first interaction. So I reached out to one of my friends who was a bigger comic collector at the time, and I was like, hey, you buy comics on eBay, right? I was like, do they have sports cards on there? He's like, yeah, I think they do. And so I just started looking up sports cards, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy my dad a sports card for his birthday, and that was the first card I ever bought. It was Xavier Williams draft pick scope out of 8, Michigan State, because that's where he went.
Wow.
And it's so funny because that person, I know it's so random, right?
Yeah.
But it was a beautiful card. I was like, damn, this is like color match. It's beautiful. I lived in Michigan for a few months growing up because that's where my stepdad was going to school at the time. And I reached out to the eBay seller and I said, thank you so much for, accepting my offer. I probably overpaid for it. I know I did now, but, and I think he knew that. So, but I reached out to him. I was like, thanks so much for accepting my offer. Like, this is for my dad. He went to Michigan State. And that seller actually sent me a bunch of other basketball players who
Or Spartans?
Who were Spartans.
That's cool.
And I just thought that was an amazing, being able to give that gift, that amazing interaction with another collector, and just figuring out that there are so many people that are passionate about sports like me, and growing up a little girl especially, this is something that I kind of was isolated from other women who also love sports. I didn't really know anyone who loved sports as me growing up. I kind of got made fun of it for a little bit, honestly.
Sure.
But realizing that in this industry, in this world, there's so many women who love sports just like me. I met so many women collectors through this too. It's just been, and males, everybody so positive and excited about this stuff. It's been a really great experience so far.
I love that. Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. That's I mean, similar upbringings as well, where it's like you said, it wasn't a very social thing when we were kids. It was, I started with Pokemon as well, got into sports, but like I remember not telling a lot of people about it. Like it wasn't the cool thing to do, so I kept a lot of that low key, and it sounds like you did as well. But you buy a Xavier Williams on eBay, you are a teacher during quarantine, you end up quitting your job. Like, walk me through that process. How do you go from buying a Xavier Williams card on eBay to getting into breaking? Like, where does that happen, and then what was it like from there?
So, being that I wanted to learn more about sports cards, the first thing I did was go straight to Instagram and I typed in sports cards. And I was like, okay, let's see what this is all about, right? I'm looking through reels, not a ton of stuff. I'm looking through accounts, not a ton of stuff. And I remember, if I can put it on the very first account that I found, I want to say, I don't have the best relationship with them yet, but I should probably reach out to them and tell them this. It was Phantom Cards.
Okay.
On Instagram. So I just started following all these card accounts, right? And then I started realizing that they were going live on Instagram every night, and they were doing breaks. And I was like, wow, put the kids to bed. I think at that point I was on maternity leave, so it was like prime, just full time. Like I'm getting enough rest, enough sleep. Put the kids to bed at 9 o'clock, and I'm just watching breaks on Instagram. And then, slowly you start joining breaks, and I found a room where I was really comfortable in. It was Bond's breaks. He doesn't break anymore, but I just really became good friends with everyone in that room. We did a lot of breaks. We did a lot of rip and chips. Rip and chips.
Yep.
So I just remember staying up all night and telling my husband, like, hey, look at this guy just hit, and my husband probably thinking I'm going crazy, me trying to get him into it and him not being really interested in it. And I just I was so excited about it. I was getting so passionate about it that it was actually my husband's idea to be like, you would probably be really good at that, he told me. And that's what sparked it in me immediately, because like I said, at the time I was still also teaching from home. And I think teaching from home was a big hurdle that I had to jump through as far as being comfortable on camera. Take this back to March of 2020,
yep.
Where we thought we were going to go on spring break and go back to teaching in person, and we just never went back. And I remember the first time where we got the call and we got told that we had to start doing classes on Zoom. I wanted to barf. I was hyperventilating. I was like, I have to teach 12-year-olds on Zoom? Like, they have to see my face through a camera, and I have to listen to myself after that? I remember the first few classes that I did not show my camera on Zoom. I was so afraid of watching myself on camera. And then just realizing that, hey,
I love it.
No, I can't do that. Obviously, we couldn't do that. It was like not allowed after that. They're like, hey, you guys probably need to turn on your camera. And I'm like, dude, I have a baby at home. I have my 1-year-old at home with me while I was teaching too. So it's just, realizing that I kind of just had to suck it up and right away turn on the camera and figure out how to connect with 12-year-olds online was definitely a really, really great experience for me. I learned so much about myself. I learned so much about people and how to interact with people online, that I feel like a big reason why I would say I'm a strong breaker is because of those experiences.
Sure.
Being able to interact with people, being able to, lead a room and be very welcoming is a skill that you have to build and be very mindful of over time. So I definitely, once I decided to start my first break, I'll never forget, I bought a case of Select Blaster, 2020 Select Blasters from someone on OfferUp, from a teenager, like about an hour away from where I lived. I bought it cash. I went back, I posted up a break on Instagram, and I went live a few days later, and I just felt from the very beginning super comfortable and super excited to talk to people and just nerd out about the stuff that we like, sports and cards. So
I love it.
So that was it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. About your first break, but it sounds like, I remember, getting on live on Instagram, just getting in front of the camera. And I remember, like, it's definitely an uncomfortable thing at first, like, if you're not used to it. Like, I remember like some of the first lives, first breaks, just being like, it's different because like there's people there, but you're just talking to a camera of yourself, and like you said, it's an interesting thing, and definitely something that is just can take a minute to get acquired.
I don't think it ever gets easier. I think you get more aware of like what's going on. I think, like I said, my first few breaks, I was super comfortable because honestly, it was people that I had built relationship with over the year already.
Yeah.
I told myself, if I don't get 1,000 followers and I don't have like 30 friends that I think would join my breaks, like I'm not gonna do this. It's gonna be terrible, you know? Yeah. I would see people like waiting there and stuff to fill. I was like, that's not gonna be me. Like I need to be really ready for this. So I was really comfortable at first, but I definitely went through those growing pains when I did start growing, and I had more people that I didn't know joining my breaks, and I was doing bigger breaks, and then I experienced the like being super shy, and I just think that don't ever think that just because someone is in the place that they are, that they're super comfortable all the time, because this stuff comes in waves and there's levels to it.
For sure.
Like I remember the break I did at the All-Star game, the second ever
on
break.
The field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was nervous. I've never been more nervous doing a break in my life. I don't think I ever will after that though, because I did walk away from that being like, man, I just need a better strategy to get ready for these things, because that was absolutely a once in a lifetime experience, but also just something I was not prepared for. So
yeah, it's Brian and I have a similar kind of experience, but let's get into some of these packs here. Randy Rosarina refractor. Nothing so far. It's been pretty underwhelming.
Do you like any baseball players?
I mean, baseball's not my forte for sure. I like buying cool cards, and the Reds.
That's my guy right there, Yamamoto.
Really?
Yeah. Strikeout monster.
Soto. This guy's having a good year for the Yankees.
Oh, he's so I watched him at batting practice at the All-Star game.
Yep.
Incredible aura, incredible human being. He goes up to bat and everybody stops talking.
Really?
That's how it was. It was such a great experience.
Yeah, I went to New York earlier this year for for an event with Whatnot, and went to 2 Yankees games consecutively, and it's the first time I'd ever been to Yankee Stadium, and it's when Judge and Soto were there and the Yankees are winning, it's different for sure. But it's
nice.
funny, Brian and I, one of the first events we actually did with Whatnot, we do a lot with them, and one of the first events we ever did was we ripped packs before the Super Bowl with Trevor Lawrence, Debo, Gabe Davis, Todd Gurley, and I had never done anything like it before. And like you said, there's definitely levels where it's like, we can prepare for this. Like I'm super comfortable talking to you, and I've done some cool ones. But like in the beginning, when you've not had that kind of experience to do that and to be in that moment, and it's while you're on camera trying to manage a conversation, trying to, we were running auctions and giving away stuff that Trevor Lawrence and these guys were signing, and you're sitting next to Trevor Lawrence and trying to maintain a live and be a personality.
That's one of my favorite pictures that you've ever posted, by the way.
I appreciate that. Lawrence. Yeah, it was like you said, and I agree so much with what you said, where it's like you'll never be that nervous the second time. Like I feel like I learned so much from that conversation, from being at that event, where it's like, you take that deep breath, where it's like, that wasn't that bad. They're normal, they're normal people just like we are, and it's like, it's fun. But like I feel like I learned a lot about myself, about like being on camera, being comfortable around people with that kind of stature. I learned a lot from it. So like I have a very similar experience, and I agree so much with what you said.
But I think what you said is right, and what I think is important for people to take away is that you really have to sit down and take that deep breath.
Yep.
And think about it a bit.
Yep.
And don't let yourself not do that, because that's how you grow from that, and that's how you get prepared next time. Because it's easy to just want to say, I don't even want to think about. I do that sometimes too.
Yeah.
Like I don't even want to think about it. Like I should have done this. I should have done that. It should never be what I should have done. It should be, what can I now do? What did I learn from it, and what can I now do moving forward?
Yep.
So
for sure.
That's good.
There we go.
That's a good auto. Austin Wells.
Is that a refractor?
Refractor. He's doing really well.
And what can you tell me about him?
Not a lot, honestly. I'm not a Yankees fan, but I know he's catching for them pretty consistently. It's nice to see a rookie in the lineup consistently. So definitely has a a fan base in New York.
Yeah, no, we've had a few of his autos and breaks. He definitely, he's definitely not a bad selling guy. Anytime, I feel like also anytime you can get a Yankee, like Yankee stuff always seems to be in demand. All right, well, I am not clearly having it nearly as much luck. Mountcastle on the Hyper, I had a Royce Lewis numbered, so I think
Royce Lewis is from Cali. He's a Cali boy.
Really?
Yeah, and he's stud in the playoffs.
I think you've got me beat pretty hardcore on this one.
But yeah, the incredible, I feel like, so when I started breaking, how do you feel about this? Meeting athletes was not something that I ever thought was possible with this. Honestly, I just thought this was a cool way to meet other people that love the same things that I do. I love baseball, I love talking about it. This fits, but I never thought that I was going to be able to meet as many athletes as I have, and that experience never gets old. And I'm just starting from where you did you think about it that way?
Yeah, I definitely never thought about it like that. I think the more that time's gone on, you realize they're a lot more like you and I than we realize. They just, Jake is a great example. Like, he loves cards. Like, we had a really cool, fun conversation. I got a gamer from him. Like, he was like one of the more down-to-earth people I've ever met. Blaze Jordan's the same way. Those are two guys I speak really, really highly of that I've had the opportunity to meet, and they're just like us, and they're just such good guys. But yeah, I didn't, when I set out to do cards full time, I mean, I never envisioned I would be ripping packs and talking to them like on a more, normal routine or like weekly basis. Like, that wasn't something I envisioned. But yeah, it's fun. But I think it's, like I said earlier, I think it's really good for the hobby. I think that athlete interaction, that you can interact with the people you pull in packs and pull in cards, like, I think that's cool. Like, I want Jake LaRavia to be in an All-Star game. I want Blaze Jordan to, start for the Red Sox one day. Like, that would be cool to be like, hey, I saw Blaze Jordan work his way up through the system, and now he starts for the Boston Red Sox, and he collects cards just like I do. Like, makes him, I feel like, a lot more relatable.
Awesome, yeah. A lot more inspirational.
Sure.
A lot more different things. I have like do you have a lot of full circle moments?
Full circle moments. Brian's smiling, so I don't know what that would be. Full circle moments.
I'll share one that I have just because it goes off by like the meeting athletes and stuff.
What would yours be?
I've had way too many, I think, but that I think of in that sense. One of the most shocking ones to me was meeting Paulo Duca.
Okay.
Who was my dad's favorite player growing up.
That's awesome.
So the reason why I love baseball so much, my stepdad's Dodger fanatic, right? That's how I grew up, watching Dodger baseball all the time. That's all we talked about. Read the newspaper, read Dodger articles, read Dodger stats every day. I was always the girl wearing Dodger stuff at school. And Paulo Duca was like the guy. And it just so happened, like, I was on Whatnot one day and Paulo Duca was selling cards on Whatnot. And I was like, wait, is this really Paulo Duca? It was really Paulo Duca selling cards on Whatnot. And he then, I obviously was buying from him, talking to him, asking him questions, reaching out, saying, hey, this is what I do. Hey, you're my dad's favorite player. Hey, I watched you so much growing up. He went to the Mint and I met him there. And he sent me like a bunch of cards signed for me and my dad. And I just thought that was insane. Like, how does that even, like you said, like, what are the odds of him being into cards and me deciding to be in cards? It's just crazy stuff like that.
Yeah, I think one of the more full circle moments would be, one of the first guys I ever remember collecting, I still collect to this day, is Donnie Nicky. He went to the same high school that I did. He was probably 10 years older than I was, 11 years older. His mom was my art teacher.
Wow.
And he won a national championship with Ohio State against Miami in 2002. So I would have been in 3rd or 4th grade. He had cards a year later. So I'd got experience with Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh before. Then I remember going to like the local mall with my mom and opening packs and like pulling his card.
Yeah.
And to see somebody like that come from graduated with 150 kids, cornfield, high school, like in the middle of nowhere. And to see somebody like that go on to to play for Ohio State, win a national title, and then go to the pros, I was like, this is like, I want to be just like him. So like to get his cards was really cool, and he came. I still have a relationship with him now. We still talk periodically, but he came to our opening day when I opened this place in May of 2021, and he was here and signing, and like to know like that was one of the reasons I started collecting cards.
Yeah.
Was like trying to pull his stuff, and then to have him at opening day.
That's amazing.
20 years later was like, that's pretty cool. So like I would say that was probably one of my more like full circle moments for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a great story.
All right, well I'm gonna try to get something good here. We can wrap this Bucks up and continue chatting, because right now it's not any good. I have got nothing, and you have a solid Yankees auto. Now you've ripped cards at the All-Star game. Where do you have like a dream location you'd love to
Elly.
rip cards at?
Yeah, Dodger Stadium.
Dodger Stadium?
Absolutely.
You said that pretty, like, you're pretty sure that's the answer.
Man, you got to throw the first pitch at what's
Brewers game. Brewers game.
That was incredible. How was that?
Man, it was such a cool experience. One of the cooler things, Brian and I have been fortunate enough to do some really cool things together. That was probably one of the cooler moments. Shout out to my guy Izzy, who works for the Brewers. He's director of experiential marketing for the Brewers, and he reached out and said, "Hey, we're having a trading card day."
Experiential marketing.
Yeah, so it's funny. I'll tell you more offline, but that's apparently like a position in like the NBA and in other sports, but the baseball doesn't have a lot of them. He's the first one, and he's for the Brewers. So they're having a trading card day, hosting a trade night. There we go, Christian Yelich, big Brewers guy now. But he was like, "Hey, we're having this event. Would love to have you at trade night." And it was from a verified account. I saw it. I'm like, this can't be real. Like, what is this? Like, this isn't right. I'm like, where's the trade night at? Because he didn't say he was for the Brewers at first, and he's like, "Oh, I work at the Brewers." And I'm like, this can't be real. Like, what? No. And he's like, "Yeah, if you come, we'll let you throw the first pitch." And I'm like, this is cool. Like, really? I'm like, you can do that?
Yeah.
So yeah, I got to take my son. Like I took my wife, I took my son, and then Brian and I went. So to be able to experience.
Sorry.
Good?
Yeah. They're talking about the Brewers.
There we go.
Jackson Chourio, negative rookie.
I mean, just absolutely getting crushed right now. Shout out to Nathaniel Lowe for the refractor I got here. Nothing good. I still have autos. But yeah, I got to go up to Milwaukee. It was my son's first baseball game. We got custom jerseys, so like his says like
awesome.
CC3.
Yeah.
To be able to do that at that, like, you just can't put it into words. It's really, really special. I'm super grateful for the Brewers for having me and letting me be a part of that, because this is one of those things like that's a once in a lifetime type thing. Those are not like you're not doing that at every baseball stadium. You're not doing that 10 times in your life. Like, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, and to experience it with people that I am close with and care about, and really, really cool. So yeah, special.
And that's a testament to everything that you built, Ryan. And I see you do stuff like that, and I just feel super proud of you, and more proud of you more than anything because you're showing people that if you follow what you're passionate about, what you love, like these incredible things that you never thought would happen. Yeah. So it's a testament to everything that you've built, definitely, and
appreciate that.
I want to do that one day.
Yeah, now appreciate that. You're going to.
Now I know I can. Something to look forward to.
Just got to throw a strike. You don't realize it until you get up there how far that walk is.
The only place I wouldn't do it is at the Giant Stadium, but
can't do it there.
No, that's Dodger Stadium, please. If anybody's watching.
Dodger Stadium, please.
No,
all right, so
seriously, that was amazing.
As we, I'm still looking for autos. I have a few packs left, but as we finish it up, you break a lot now. It sounds like. We sit here in a year and we do another interview. What do you hope to be doing a year from now? What does this look like for you?
That's a tough question, because I'm very much at a point where I'm focusing on growing the breaking business. So breaking every day for as many hours as possible is the goal. I don't know what that's gonna turn into a year from now, and also the YouTube channel, being more consistent on there, and providing more content that I enjoy making, that Eddie enjoys making, and
Yep.
that's kind of where we're coming from with that. So one thing that I've learned in the past 2 years is that this is very new and changing always.
Yeah.
And sometimes I've just had to kind of go with the opportunities that I've received and take as much as I can from them as possible.
Yeah.
So I really don't know. I don't know, but it's definitely, I know I'm going to have a really good time between then and now. We're going to have way more stories. For sure. That I can guarantee.
I love that you're just so open-minded about it, and just, you know, you're going into it with so much optimism that, like, hey, wherever it goes is going to be exciting, and you're excited to learn and take something from that. I think that's important, is that, you know, you never will know it all. Just learning as much as possible every day, just being a sponge, I think is so big, and something I'm like really big on is just continuing to learn and continuing to, you know, try to get better and enjoying it. It's not like there's not something at the end, like, you know, 50 years from now that says like, hey, you did it. You did exactly what you wanted to do. Congrats. The journey, you know, every day is what makes it fun. So
I think you'll disappoint yourself a lot if you think that way.
Sure.
So it's definitely focusing on the journey, and like you said, being a sponge, and realizing I think if anything I can take away from this experience the past 2.5 years essentially, is that the incredible people that I've met, the incredible entrepreneurs in this industry, is what makes this the best hobby in the world. I've learned so much from you and everyone else I've had the opportunity to spend time with this year. It's that optimism is definitely an important thing and important quality that you all share, but also being very that part, being very aware of opportunities and making sound decisions as much as possible. So I think part of making sound decisions is having built really great relationships and reaching out and asking for help and always asking questions.
Sure. Yeah, I love that. I love that for sure. I couldn't agree more with that statement. Well, my auto was not Austin Wells to $4.99. So unfortunately, not very good. Well, we'll open these last couple here. It sounds like, unless there's something insane in here, the Churio negative and the Austin Wells auto will run laps around my Dane Myers auto. Contreras refractor, Dominguez.
Oh, there we go. I don't know. I just always loved pulling Alex Kirilloff. I think I've always liked him from the beginning. So when I started breaking baseball, it was a lot harder because I started during his rookie class when there wasn't much, you know, but I always saw potential in him, and he definitely still does really well. So Alex Kirilloff on the Twins.
Well, I got one pack left. You're,
cool.
I think you got the top 3 cards. I think you got me beat on this. Unless there's a Wyatt Langford super auto in here, we're purple.
No, you pulled it already.
Yeah, you Darvish. Yeah, I didn't pull it. I wish.
I always say, you know, like even though I do breaking, I've pulled a lot of great cards in my career. I feel like when I pull them, even though I know they're not mine, I feel like they are. It's part of us. That connects me to that person forever, I feel. Especially as a breaker. Now, it's definitely different if they're pulling their own card in the shop, but I think, I guess one bad rap that breakers get in general sometimes is that why would you have somebody open cards for you when you can open them yourself? I think what we do is an incredible thing because we're facilitating a community for people. We're facilitating a room where you can come and meet people. I've had people say they've met their best friends in my room, and I really believe that when I pull a big card for someone, that is a memory for that person and me.
For sure.
I do not forget the big cards that we've pulled. I will not forget pulling that Josh Young Superfractor for Chaz that led to him meeting him on field at a Guardians game. You know,
yeah, super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never forget some of the big pulls and just the memories behind those. Those things stick with you forever. So, as we wrap it up, one question we haven't done one of these in a minute, but I remember one of the ways we ended it was, if you were starting over right now, knowing what you know now, and you could give yourself one piece of advice, what would that advice be?
That's such a good one. That's such a great, just one piece of advice?
Yeah, I mean, one piece.
I think this is 2 pieces of advice,
okay,
but they're both really important. Is you only get as far as you believe you will get. So the belief in yourself, first and foremost, is where you need to start. You need to question, if you don't believe that you can do something, you need to question why. You need to fight through that and figure that out. Because you only get as far as what you believe you can do. It's a very cliche, but you know, you reach for the stars and you end up on the moon or whatever. Like you will never get to a point that that you don't believe you can get to, period. I've learned that so much more as I've gone. Like I said, the more you believe you can do, the more you will achieve. And then second is not being afraid to ask for help. Relationships are the most important thing after believing in yourself.
Agreed. Love those both. Last thing, where can people find you?
Instagram, TikTok, YouTube here, all at Mama Breaks, and breaking on Fanatics Live. 6 to 7 days a week right now. Yeah.
Love it.
I'm usually on there.
Love it. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Congrats on smoking me in a box, and wish you all the best in the future.
Thank you. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you. That's all we got for now, guys. Make sure you guys check out Steph. But for now, that's all I got. Peace, guys.